Okay. I'd like to call to order the Avalon City Council meeting of December 7th, and we would also be acting as a successor agency to the ACIA, the Housing Authority, and the Avalon Municipal Hospital Board of Trustees. Maybe if I just have one of these, not two, maybe? Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if we could please have a few moments of silence for Gail Fate, who passed away the day before Thanksgiving. Please be seated. And Michael Comer will be having a few hats he's wearing tonight. So, Michael, if you please do the roll call.
Sure. Councilmember Lavelle?
Here.
Councilmember Ponce? Here. Councilmember De La Rosa? And Mayor Marshall. I'm sorry, Mayor Pro Tem Cassidy?
Here.
And Mayor Marshall.
Here. Cindy, are you wearing a cowboy hat?
I sure am.
Shit, howdy. Excellent.
For the record, it looks like Councilmember De La Rosa is not present.
Okay. Already, announcements and written communications?
I have none.
Okay.
Sorry, Annie. Councilmember De La Rosa is waiting to be let into the call. Oh, there she is.
For the record, we have Councilmember De La Rosa, if you want to announce yourself.
Hello, everybody. I'm here.
Hi. We're thinking of you. And we also have Scott. And we also have Scott Campbell joining us this evening. Okay. And no announcements or written communications, and we do have a presentation.
Yeah, the presentation tonight is from Southern California Edison's compliance advisor, Tracy Degnan, who's going to be presenting the state-mandated annual propane gas safety public awareness presentation, and we'll get her patched through right now.
Great, thank you.
Tracy, are you on?
Yes, I am. Am I going to be able to see the slides, or should I just read off of what I have at home? Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can. I believe they're giving you access right now.
Nope, that's perfect. I can see them. Okay, good evening, council members and Mayor Annie. My name is Tracy Degnan. I'm from Southern California Edison, and I'm here to present our annual gas safety presentation. Next slide. So as most of you know, here in Catalina, Edison not only delivers electricity, but we also provide the water and gas utilities as well. So tonight I just wanted to talk a little bit about our gas system and provide some safety tips and reminders. Okay, next slide. Okay, on Catalina, we deliver a propane air mixture that is designed to mimic natural gas. It is delivered on a pipeline system that is installed, tested, operated, and maintained according to strict standards and guidelines used by Edison and required by local, state, and federal agencies. SE also conducts routine patrols, visual ground inspections, and has cathodic protection installed to prevent rusting and corrosion. And because of these safety maintenance measures, system failures on the gas system are pretty rare. Okay? So the propane gas system consists of two types of pipelines, mains and service lines. Mains are the larger pipelines that carry the propane from the plant out to the service areas. And in some areas, these main pipelines will be marked by signs that contain general location and contact information. And you might be familiar with seeing some of these along Pebbly Beach Road. They're on the right-hand side as you drive down, or on the left-hand, depending on which way you're going. Service lines are the pipelines that run underground from the mains to the meters at your home and businesses. Okay? Call Diggler before you dig. Because most of our gas pipeline is underground, it's very important that you call Diggler prior to conducting any digging activities. This includes projects on your own property. If you're planning to start a project, you must call 811 2 full working days prior to digging to allow SCE personnel time to come out and mark the pipeline route for you. It's very important to know where your gas pipeline route runs through your property, just so you could avoid building any structures over the top or planting a tree or anything like that. Excavation must also be done with hand tools until the gas line is found. If you do accidentally hit a pipeline, please call SE immediately at 800-367-8851 so they can come out and inspect the pipeline for any damage. Okay, next slide. So this slide shows where the customer responsibilities begin. So all the piping from the gas meter to a residence or business is the responsibility of the customer. It's really important to have your piping inspected periodically for corrosion or leaks and make repairs if any unsafe conditions are discovered. Okay? And customers should also test their appliances regularly. And with the cooler temperatures here, now's a good time to have, to get your furnaces checked and other gas appliances prior to starting them up for the winter months where, we want to have our heaters on and stuff. There are many local plumbers who could assist in inspecting and making any repairs if needed. Okay? So, how to recognize a propane gas leak. Propane is a colorless, odorless gas. We add a chemical odorant called mercaptan to help people identify the smell. It smells like rotten eggs or sulfur. Other ways you may be able to detect a gas leak is by a white cloud, hissing noise, frozen area on the pipeline, bubbling if it's underwater. And of course, if you see flames coming from the pipe or the ground, that could be an indication that you might have a gas leak. Although that's very rare over here, you probably won't see anything like that. Propane is different than natural gas in that it's heavier than air. So it tends to settle in lower levels of the buildings. And you'll notice the smell probably closer to the ground, but not always. You can still smell it anywhere if you have a gas leak. For those reasons also, we recommend that you just get out of the area and not try to dissipate the gas. So next slide. So if you do suspect a gas leak, as I said, get out of the area immediately and warn others to stay away. Do not open the doors or windows, just get to a safe location. If you're already outside, move into the wind and away from the gas. Eliminate ignition sources such as phones, lighters, motors, electrical switches, or anything like that. And don't try to turn off any of the equipment, just get out and get to a safe place. Okay, next slide. Once you're in a safe place, call 911 and then call Edison. And please provide a description of the leak if possible and its location. Okay, and the next slide. So that concludes the presentation. If you have any questions, please call Edison. And the 800 number that we have on here is a direct Catalina link. So they'll be more familiar with like Catalina issues such as our gas and water. Or you can visit the website at se.com/Catalina, and you'll also find Catalina specific information there. There's also the code red that you could sign up for on the City of Avalon website. And that is a notification service that will provide notifications during an emergency via your phone or email. And that's all I have for you guys tonight. So if you have any questions, or if you don't.
Are there any questions of Tracy? Okay, if not, thank you very much, and we'll see you next year.
Thank you, Tracy.
Yes, thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Department head reports?
Good evening, Bob Greenlaw, Director of Public Works. Got 3 items for you. First one, the ATP draft plan public meeting. So on Wednesday, December 15th, the city will hold a special city council meeting from 5 to 6 p.m. That'll be available here, but mainly virtually on Zoom. We're asking for attendance there so that more people can be there. And the intent is to review and receive input on the draft active transportation plan. The plan aims to improve the comfort and safety for people walking, biking, and taking transit in Avalon. There have been 2 different announcements advertised in the meeting, and I want to make everybody aware of this. One is the city council meeting notice, and the other is a flyer on the city's website that needs to be corrected. It has the date as the 16th, and that was, we had 2 days that were selected potential, and so we're correcting that 15th date. So if you see that, and that'll be done by tomorrow, but it is the 15th at 5 p.m. On that link on the city's main webpage is a link to the virtual meeting, the Zoom meeting. It's all right there. And by the 10th will be the draft plan. Our consultant is working on the final details of the draft plan, so we encourage everybody to review that draft plan prior to the meeting, okay? And so we're not going to adopt the plan at that meeting, but we will be looking for direction from council to work toward the final plan. So if there's something that people have input and we want to change that draft plan, that's the opportunity to do it so that we get close to having that draft plan for adoption next time we meet. And then the next 2 items I have were we've got the Pebbly Beach Road revetment, and last week we received notice that the Coastal Commission, that the permit for the revetment repairs, that's all the holes that are along the revetment, Pebbly Beach all the way from gate to gate, is on the agenda for the start of 2022. We've been working actually on this permit for years. I mean, it's been real slow. But we do have Army Corps permit, we do have Regional Water Quality Control permit, and we do have State Lands Commission, the lease agreement that rearranged some things that we weren't under the agreement, already in hand. So once we get this final permit, then we're underway. We're also finalizing bid documents to do maintenance repairs on the Green Pier. And as we've been saying before, that our intent really is to get a program so that we can do heavy maintenance with contracted help that would allow us to do this over a period of 5 years, because otherwise you got to go do the same thing we're doing with the revetment, go get a Coastal Commission permit. We want to get a 5-year agreement. When they came to the island and met with us, they said, yes, that was very possible. So we want to get all permits in hand. We want to have a work scope done for those 5 years that is flexible, and so that as we have the resources, we could do it all in 1 year, but we don't anticipate have all the resources. So as things need repair, we can respond to that and efficiently move through that without having to go through that administrative task of getting a permit, getting a design, and keep on redoing that effort. We can put the actual money into the repairs. So that's why we're doing that. And this is really the test case to be able to do that. And then we're working on the public restrooms, okay? So now that we're on the off-season, and our focus right now is on the Green Pier, but we're doing this on all the restrooms on the waterfront, is to do some heavy maintenance. And so that's really to change out fixtures where necessary, you know, so the toilets, urinals, sinks, if necessary, to bring those up to a standard and in a good working condition, the valves, and repaint, and then also to get the tile repaired wherever it's cracked and get it looking good. So we're doing all those things and get them in a standardized, good working order so that we don't have where we're bagging toilets and having half the fixtures down and it's something that we can maintain rather easily with our public works crew. So we're doing that so that there's, you know, better bathrooms for our residents and our visitors. Any questions for me?
We're doing all the work in-house, all of that is in-house?
Yes.
And how about the roof on the Taco Bell bathroom?
So we needed to get a contractor. That's what's been holding that up for a couple of years, and COVID was in the middle of that. But it was a special piece of sheet metal. I couldn't get anybody, a contractor over here, so finally I did. It was about 3 weeks ago, and they measured it up, and it's a pretty expensive piece of sheet metal that makes the wall to roof flashing under that new tile to be done. So once we get that, then we'll do that roof, and then we're also going to do the shower roof. The shower roof, there's a little bit of tile. You don't see much of it, but it needs repair. So both of those facilities will be fully redone by the time we start the next season here, which is good to have good roofs on something, and then have good interiors on these. Okay? Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? No? Thank you very much, Bob. And here comes Tex. You even changed your walk.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council, Captain Joe Badali, Avalon Station captain, and happy to report that things have been slowing down with the season, and we're happy for that, and it's allowing us to do some in-house training as well, and address some other issues that we've been busy with otherwise. But I want to also report that we've been issuing a lot more citations to kids who didn't take heed to our warnings and our visits with them. So unfortunately, we've had to educate them in that respect, and hopefully board does get around so that we have compliance and ensure that everybody's safe. Today we also had Tracy from Edison. We had a 2-hour tabletop emergency drill relating to the public utilities of Edison, and that was done with all of our public safety partners, City Fire, County Fire, Harbor Patrol, myself, and we had a very successful interaction and handling of one scenario that had 2 different modules to it, and so it was very educational for everybody involved, and we're even more prepared in dealing with some incident like that that will involve the utilities. You'll notice that I'm wearing a cowboy hat, and Sheriff Villanueva has approved this for uniform wear for the entire department, and primarily as a protection for sun-related injuries. I got an echo here. Okay. So we do a lot of foot beats, bike patrol, patrolling on the T3s, and here on the island we want to protect ourselves, and so you'll see this new look among all of our deputies here. Just about everybody's wanting to wear it, and we're very proud to wear it as well. And what we also found, a very positive side of it is the icebreaker, so to speak, with not only the locals but tourists who see the hat and really compliment it. And it really leads into a nice little dialogue and conversation with folks about it. So you'll be seeing this new look.
It's a good look.
That's all I have.
So, you know, your Jeeps and Edison Jeeps look so much alike that I know when they're both on the road, you kind of go, oh, is that Edison or is that LA County Sheriff's? So I think all of us should start wearing those hats, and they'll see the hats first, and they're not going to know if we're law enforcement or we're just somebody else.
Yeah.
But it's a great look.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any questions of the captain?
No questions, but now you know why I'm wearing the hat tonight in solidarity with the Sheriff's Department. That I've been seeing these the last couple days, and what a way to build some camaraderie in town. And I just think it's super fun, And, you know, we have such a lighter duty over here in general, and the team that we have in the department right now is just so solid and working together and working with the community. And so I'm just very excited and very happy for the captain and all the work that you guys are doing.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, nice sentiments, thank you. Okay, any other comments? Okay, who's next? Could that be you, Dave?
Community service. We had the movie at the Nature Center, Family Night. It worked out great between the three entities working together on Catalina Island Company, the Conservancy, and the city. For the first showing, there was only around 30 people who showed, but we consider it a success because, you know, we did it within 1 week, and it was a great way for us to also get to work the kinks out for it. And so now we're planning to do something in later winter, earlier spring, and trying to do it in the off season once a month. And so we're working that out. We think it's been a lot of fun, and we want to add longer days to it and do family fun-filled activities. On the 23rd, the city gave 40 full Thanksgiving dinners to local families in need. And we plan on doing it again for this Christmas on the 21st. But along with the dinners, we'll also be giving out toys that are being donated through 3 local toy drives, IEX Helicopters in conjunction with the Hermosa, Island Company, and Southern California Edison. They will all be coming towards us through the city, and we'll be handing those out with the dinners. So if you know a family who might need a little help this holiday, or if you might need a little help this holiday, please contact the community service here at City Hall. Today, we received 2 quarter pipes for the skate park donated by Eric Noyes, the president of the Tuna Club, thanks to our connection through local skate park advocate Johnny Kornstrom. And we will be showcasing the skate park and the new pieces, as well as the public artwork that we've been doing at the skate park, with a re-grand opening with professional skaters and BMXers in later January. We're just kind of solidifying the date with the skateboarders and BMXers. So please look out for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. Last night, the Prime Timers, not last night, but Sunday night, the Prime Timers had their annual holiday dinner up at the Cove. The Cove served a slow roasted ham in all its fixing. It was quite delicious, I might say. We had a fun time with trivia and games, and everyone left home a winner. But most of all, the socialization and the time together was the best holiday treat. And we will continue with that treat with an excursion to the play, A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, performed by the Avalon Community Theater Group, directed by Sean Brannick, in the world-famous Casino Theater. The Prime Timers will meet at the casino at 4:15 for the 4:30 show, and the price for the Prime Timers is just $5. If you're interested, please let us know at the Community Service Department at the City Hall by Friday. Thank you.
Dave, can I ask a question?
Yes.
How old do you have to be a Prime?
55. 55.
Cool.
It's really cool. Really cool. 5 more years for me. Recreation has aligned itself with Coaches Corp. It's a nonprofit organization to help leagues, schools, and recreation departments get access to training tools to help volunteer coaches gain confidence to help our youth learn life lessons through sports. Hoping to have our website up with them this January, so you can go on to the website, connect with us through the city, and get all the coaching training you need, lesson plans, curriculums for teaching. So the volunteers would just sign up, and they'll get everything that they need. So look out for that as well. And last but not least, a reminder, Santa's mailbox has arrived and can be located in Avalon Arcade, across from the post office. Santa wants me to remind everyone to put a return address so he can respond appropriately. Remember, he accepts letters from every child, regardless of age. But you have to get the letters in before Friday, December 17th. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas.
Any questions from Dave? Dave, that was very thorough. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Lots going on. Appreciate it.
Hey, Dave, will the toy pickup be
Yesenia.
at the teen center again?
Repeat?
Will the toy pickup be at the teen center?
Yes, the pickup will be at the teen center, December 21st, Tuesday, December 21st.
Thank you.
Matt Baker, Finance Director in AV Tech. I know there's been an echo. I am aware of it, and I'm trying to get to the bottom of the problem. So thank you for your patience. Just a couple of quick reminders to the public. Invoices for business licenses for the 2022 calendar year will be mailed out in the next week, and payment of the business license is due by January 15th. I will continue to remind the public at these meetings, January 15th being the last date to avoid penalties. Similarly, 2022 dog licenses are available for purchase. Judging by the amount of dogs I see around town and the number of licenses I sell, I know there are some dog owners out there with unlicensed dogs. So I'd really like to encourage everyone in the public, if you have a dog, to go through the process and get it licensed here with the city. Lastly, at the last meeting, I mentioned that the audited financials will be presented at a meeting in January. I can now let the council know it will be the second meeting in January. We'll have Davis Farr out here to present those.
Right.
And at the next meeting, I will share the October revenues, but that's all I have for now.
Great. Matt, any questions of Matt? Okay, thank you. Okay, now.
Sorry, I had two quick updates.
Yeah, I was
I just wanted to
wondering
let
that.
everyone know on behalf of the Planning and Building Department that the draft housing element update was submitted last week to the California Department of Housing and Community Development. This housing element is part of our fulfillment of the sixth cycle regional housing needs assessment, or RHNA. Cities all across California are working on updating their housing elements to update that to meet its housing goals as part of that process. We have also released a copy of that draft and made it publicly available. That is available at City Hall, and it will be posted tomorrow on the city's website. Public notice is being drafted and has just been submitted, reminding the public as well. So there's a 30-day public notice or public review process for that housing element update. Based off of the significant amount of survey responses received back, I'm really looking forward to the community weighing in on the work that we've been doing to prepare for that, for the city to meet its goals. And then the second thing that I wanted to announce, because I don't think I announced it here, but we recently hired an assistant planner in the planning department. Her name's Susanna Gutierrez. She's a wonderful addition to the team. If you have not had a chance to meet her, hopefully you'll see her at the front counter, but we're really happy to have her there. So thanks.
And she is Mary Schickling's daughter, if you don't know, if that's the way to identify her as well. Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, we will not be having a second council meeting in December?
As of right now, I believe that meeting is canceled. I've not heard any indication otherwise.
Okay, all right. Okay, does the city attorney have anything to report?
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry,
Mayor,
Cindy.
that last email that we had received from the city manager regarding the meeting on the 15th, in that email she does clarify that the second city council meeting on December 21st is canceled.
Okay, thank you, thank you. City attorney?
Nothing other than we will be having, again on the agenda and consent is the continuing resolution to make the findings to continue to meet remotely.
We're really having a hard time hearing you from that end, from the Zoom end.
Yeah, that's because of the echo. So if you turn it up, you're going to have a lot more echo.
Oh, okay. All right, so so speak up as much as you can. Council member reports? Who would like to start?
I'll go first. I would like to commend Michael for helping out in
our dire need on Saturday during the Shop at Home. I totally appreciate you showing up on your day off and giving us a hand on that. And in regards to Shop at Home, the Rotary sponsored the gingerbread contest, and
drum roll.
The first place winner was Stephanie and Vanessa Hernandez. Second place was Brittany Arnold. And third place was Molly Rose and Lily Dasa. And then the People's Choice, which was voted by the crowd, was Natalie Latshaw and Christy Linds. And congratulations to all of you. It was fun, it's cold, and now that we've got 2 of them under our belts, we've got some ideas for the next one. So thank you all. Thank you, City, for helping us put it all on. And thank you, Jim, for letting us be up there with you.
Yeah, that's great. Okay.
So I attended the CARB meeting, the California Air Resources Board meeting, and then also attended several meetings and special meetings for the LA County redistricting. They're now down to 3 different maps, all 3 of which include Avalon in District and the full island in District 4. All of them include all of Long Beach and all of the ports, both LA and Long Beach harbors in District 4. So at this point, from where we stand, I think it looks like a good spot. And then have a couple meetings coming up this week, one of which is tomorrow regarding water reclamation, hopefully. And yeah, that's it.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Yesenia?
I'm okay right now, thank you.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem?
I also attended the CARB meeting, California Air Resources Board meeting, and spoke in favor of the city of Avalon requesting that they do not put these changes in effect as they were written. And so that, and I think actually that's all I have to report tonight.
Okie dokie. Then, well, I'm sorry to say there will be no minutes with the mayor. Later on this month, I'm going to be in Texas with my family. So I'm wishing you all a very Merry Christmas. Shop Catalina definitely was a success. Michael, I wanted to mention to you that the California Public Utility Commission has an official service list. And I think Cindy and I are on it because we've been around, but I believe that either city employees or those council members that aren't on it, this is the form in which you can maybe help them enroll to get on that service list.
Yeah, we can take care of that.
Okay, so I got a sample here. Again, following up with Cal Recycle, all I keep hearing is, well, they haven't told us anything, but this has been Vons has been open now for 2.5 years or something. We've not heard from Cal Recycle on any CRV redemption, and I think I'd like to see us be more proactive because people in Avalon haven't gotten a nickel or a dime in many, many years. And maybe there would be less in the landfill if there was some other way to get it off of there. And I know they probably don't even have any money. Anyway, I would really like us to proceed with that if you all are in agreement. So I'm sure everybody got in the mail about the DMV because people are asking me, are DMV coming? Probably won't be coming till after the first of the year. But the one thing we all did get in the mail that we have until May 3rd, 2023 to get the real ID for traveling outside of California practically. And that's all I have for now. Okay, so oral communication. This is an opportunity for people in the public to address the City Council. No action will be taken on non-agenda items, and you will be limited to 2 minutes. So I know we have some people in the back there.
Yeah, so I want to introduce the Tarzana Treatment Center and their main counselor who will be here on the island, David Martinez, along with his supervisors.
Right, so come on up.
Hi, good evening, Council. My name is Gabriel. I'm one of the senior supervisors over at Tarzana Treatment Centers. I just want to inform you guys that we have resumed services on the island, and I'd like to introduce one of our primary substance abuse counselors, Mr. David Martinez.
Great.
I'd like to thank the council for allowing us to come up here and advocate our program. We understand that the disease...
Be sure to talk into the mic.
Oh, thanks. We understand that the disease of addiction is a very deadly disease, and we're here to try to make a difference in people's lives. Right now, we're currently working out of the Avalon Community Church, right behind the Teen Center. We will be running groups 2 times a week. We'll be running anger management, parenting group, addiction education, relapse prevention. I'll be working individually with each patient, trying to find out triggers and the consequences that come along with their drug and alcohol abuse. Also, I'll be making treatment plans for each individual differently. Each individual's different. So we'll be working with them differently to find healthier ways of coping with their emotions, feelings, maybe some mental health that's going on, and trying to find healthier ways of coping with those thoughts and ideas. So I made a commitment to try to, make a difference here on the island, and I thank you all for having us here today.
And do you know what days of the week that will be, David?
Sometimes 2 days a week, sometimes 3. Primarily Wednesdays and Fridays. I'll be here all day. Eventually, once my caseload starts growing, I'll be here more often. I'll be lodging here and staying here. I also wanted to advocate if a patient does need a higher level of care. We do have residential as well across on the mainland. We do have therapists as well that will be able to deal with the patient through telehealth or anything like that. The best part of our program is it's Medi-Cal funded, which means that the patients are not going to be paying anything out of pocket. Medi-Cal will be covering all the services that they need.
But it also says here that for somebody like myself, there's private insurance as well, if I'm not Medi-Cal eligible.
I'll let my case manager handle that. She's the one that deals with all of that. This is Elizabeth Gastelum, my case manager.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth. I'm the case manager. I'm going to be working along with David. And yes, you're right. We do accept private insurance. We do not want to turn anybody away. That's kind of like our motto for Tarzana. So we do want to service as the much population we can,
Any questions of any of the 3 of them?
Thank you.
We're so glad you're back.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. And you deal with all ages?
All ages, yes.
All ages.
For the youth, 13 and up, and then obviously the adults as well.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
We're happy to have you here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Annie, I do have a question.
Okay, Yesenia has a question.
I'm not exactly sure how I want to word this, but is there any 24-hour care that you guys offer for the Islanders?
I'm sorry, I can't.
24-hour care?
Yeah, like emergency services, anything of that sort?
That would be in the mainland, yeah, that would be for residential care.
But
is there anything that we could look into bringing those services on the island? I know it's not so easy for everyone to get off and get those services.
She's asking if it's something that could be brought over eventually to the island or reviewed for potential for emergency.
In the future, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. And are you talking about, Yesenia, because when David's here, I guess are you just going to come in for the day and leave, David, or are you going to be spending the night?
As I go, as I stay here.
Into the mic, please.
As I'm here a little bit more, I think that's in my plans to be lodging here as well, to be here an 8-hour shift, 3 days a week, possibly 4.
But there would be like a crisis line, so if at midnight I have a problem, there's somebody they can call?
I do have a cell phone that they'll be able to reach me if they do have an issue. So yeah.
Okay, great.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you. Any more questions, Yesenia or Cindy? We good? Okay, thank you very much,
Very
and welcome back.
happy news.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other oral communications? Oh, Jim?
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. I just wanted to go a little further on some of the details for Shop Catalina and acknowledge some of the very important people who helped us make a successful event. As you're probably aware, we had both a business decorating and residential decorating contest this year, and I'm happy to announce the winners, first, second, and third in each of those categories. For business decorating, we had over 20 merchants deck the halls, eaves, and windows of their places of business this year. And the first place went to the Avalon Community Church.
Oh, yeah.
The second place went to the Metropole Marketplace.
Nice.
And third place to the Fairview Homeowners Association.
Great.
For residential decorating, we round number counted over 80 homes and condos that were spotted during our drive around. And first place winner this year is Isidro Silva and Esperanza Trino up at Eucalyptus Hill Apartments. And if you haven't seen it, it's spectacular.
Wow.
Make a trip out there and see that. Second place was awarded to the home of Pam and Chuck Martin on Catalina Avenue, always one of the best decorated homes. And third place was awarded to Jackie Cruz in the 300 block of Metropole, 310 Metropole. And it was a hard decision on the residential to only come down to 3. There were a lot of amazing decorations this year. Michael's already told you about the gingerbread house decorating winners. And the winners are each eligible for some Love Catalina Island gift certificates. We will have envelopes at the visitor center with each of their names on them so they can stop by and pick them up on the Green Pleasure Pier and use them to go out and shop some more in our local stores. There were 30 plus merchants who participated this year in Shop Catalina, and we could not have pulled this off at all without the help of City of Avalon. And thank you, Michael, for acknowledging Michael's role. That was a pivotal role, saved the day for sure. We brought back the Jingle Singers. If you missed it, you missed a show, the CKV Kids Chorus. We had a soloist who just rocked it. We're hoping to find a good video of it because my video did not come out well. We are appreciative of the Avalon Fire Department for delivering Santa and Mrs. Claus on the vintage fire truck.
Safely.
Safely, yes. And to you, of course, Mayor Marshall, for co-hosting on the stage.
That's fine.
Of course, the stars of the night were Santa and Mrs. Claus, who sat on a cold metal bench all the way until 8 p.m., allowing hundreds of visitors and residents to get their photos with Santa and Mrs. Claus in front of a tree. You still have all week to use your Shop Catalina discounts. Some stores extended all the way through the end of the month at their discretion. And you still have through the end of the week to complete your virtual treasure card, which enters you to win even more Love Catalina gift certificates. And details are on the Shop Catalina page of lovecatalina.com. Thank you.
That was a lot to work up between the shops and your way to register online and everything. That was a lot of work. Thank you. Yeah. Any questions?
Just have a quick clarification for Jim. It says I was under the impression that the Shop Catalina went from the 4th through the 11th, but then the actual discount cards say that they're valid from 12/4 to 12/24.
Yes.
Yeah, it has historically gone through Christmas Eve, so that's why it says that.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I thought you just said it
And I
was,
think that's actually what I just said too, Cindy, so I apologize, I added to the confusion, but it is 24.
Oh, no worries. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? No? Thank you, thank you. And here comes our favorite librarian.
Hello.
Hello.
Paul Birchall, Avalon Library. Good to see everybody. I don't have anything to promote. Just want to say the library is open all through the Christmas season, closed Christmas Eve and Christmas and New Year's, but we're open. Got lots of stuff to give away, little art to go projects, and a great atmosphere. If you don't feel like coming in, I've got ebooks. We've got 500,000 ebooks in the library's ebook collection. There's something called the Lucky Day Collection, which is basically the best sellers. The library buys like 100 copies or 100 licenses, and you just click on it. You can read it real quick for 2 weeks, and then it vanishes. Really cool. I'm catching up on all the bestsellers that way.
Yeah.
Friends of the library are also purchasing a lot of the bestsellers for us to have in hand, because I'm realizing more and more what a browsing library, Catalina Avalon Library, is. People want to find the book on the shelf. They don't want to wait 10 years for it to come from Overtown. And finally, not library related, I'm going to be in that production of The Christmas Carol that Mr. Sean is directing down at the casino. It's going to be so awesome. We just had costumes. You should see, I've got this, I'm the ghost of Jacob Marley, and also the ghost of Christmas Future, so I'll be going like that. It's going to be so cool. It's going to be one of the coolest things you ever saw at the casino.
Yeah.
It's going to be Christmassy, it's going to be spooky, it's going to be pretty amazing. So please come and see it.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, and do we have anything on our machine?
I do. I have one comment that's come through. It's from Thomas Salinas, the owner of Catalina Island Vacation Rentals. He wrote, I was recently told by 2 employees were harassed by a council member with rude interaction that started with, I really hate your boss. So the council member was an employee who voluntarily quit and chose a different path. This does not make me hate him. However, I feel that the level of disrespect that was given to my staff, who are locals and voters, were undue, petty, and unkind, if not becoming of an elected representative. I request an explanation and apology to both of them for this, which is a response to me having a different opinion. Please speak your justifications to both the employees for the record. The space of politics and business of the city, as well as company, do not have a seat for hatred. Thank you for your response, not to me, but to the employees that you offended.
And I will respond. I will stick by my comments. I did it as a private citizen, as a friend, made a comment to a friend, and I'm kind of shocked that that friend went and ratted me out. But hey, it is what it is. But I stick by my comment.
Okay. And we will move on to the consent calendar.
There are 6 items on consent calendar. The first one is minutes. The recommended action is to approve the minutes from the November 16th, 2021 regular city council meeting. The second meeting is warrants. This is to approve a total expenditure for November 8th, 2021 through November 26th, 2021, totaling $1,665,683.96. The third item is findings to continue to hold remote teleconference virtual city council meetings pursuant to AB 361. The action is to determine that the COVID-19 state of emergency proclaimed by the governor still exists and has been considered by the city council in deciding to continue to have teleconference meetings, and that state or local officials have imposed or recommended measures to promote social distancing in connection with COVID-19, and that as a result of the COVID-19 emergency, meeting in person would present imminent risks to the health and safety of attendees. The fourth item is to adopt an ordinance amending sections 3-1.103, 9-3.604, 9.5-202, 9-5.302, and 9-5.402 of the Avalon Municipal Code relating to family daycare homes. The action there is to adopt an ordinance of the City of Avalon amending sections 3-1.103, 9-3.604, 9-5 or 9.5-202, 9-5.302, and 9-5.402 of the Municipal Code relating to family daycare homes. Number 5 is to adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 6-2 of Title 6 for Sanitation and Health of the Avalon Municipal Code relating to solid waste collection and organic waste disposal reduction requirements. The action there is to adopt an ordinance of the City of Avalon amending Chapter 6-2 of Title 6 Sanitation and Health of the Avalon Municipal Code relating to solid waste collection and organic waste disposal reduction requirements, and to determine the project is categorically exempt from CEQA. Number 6 is to declare excess old surplus equipment as surplus, and the action there is to adopt a resolution declaring vehicles listed in the resolution as surplus property and authorize the city manager to dispose of it in accordance with city policy.
Okay. Yeah, but then we go into the, because it's the ACIA.
Gotcha. I'll move to approve items 1 through 6.
I'll second.
And before I just still wonder on that 20% of the currently disposable edible food must be recovered for human consumption. I'm just really curious how we're going to do that and who's going to have responsibility for that.
We are currently working with CRNR to come up with a solution for meeting those requirements.
Well, does it have to include bonds? Because by the time it hits the trash can, it's a little late, isn't it?
Yeah, it will be working with the affected businesses as well.
Okay, thank you. And, okay, all right, so motion and a second. If there's no further comments, call for the vote.
Councilmember Lavelle?
Aye.
Councilmember Ponce?
Aye.
Councilmember De La Rosa?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Cassidy?
Aye.
Mayor Marshall?
Aye.
All ayes.
Item number
The next item on consent calendar is the City Council acting as the successor agency of the Avalon Community Improvement Agency. This is also on consent. The item here is the Recognized Obligation Payment Schedule, or ROPS 22-23, and successor agency administrative budget for fiscal year 22-23. The action there is to adopt a resolution of the successor agency to the Avalon Community Improvement Agency, approving a recognized obligation payment schedule 22-23 and successor agency administrative budget for fiscal year 2022-2023.
And explain quickly, and in the deal about the requested administrative budget amount of $250,000 to oversee that, right? And Matt, I'm sorry if I'm catching you off guard or anybody. We out of that money, we can get to $250,000 a year?
That's coming up here. I'll let him answer.
That is correct. So as part of the RPTTF, the city get two payments of $125,000, so $250,000 a year for managing the successor agency payments.
That seems like one of the most reasonable ones we've ever gotten from anybody, right? I mean, that's a nice chunk of money, isn't it?
It reimburses us for our time. We do now, as the amount of activity we have in the successor agency is winding down to the point where it's really now just paying existing bond obligations. We may look to do a last and final ROPS in future years, bring that forward to council for consideration, in which case a lot of the administrative side we would no longer have to do, but I guess the downside of that is we wouldn't be reimbursed for those administrative costs.
Right.
But yes, $250,000 is a reasonable amount for our time.
Yeah, excellent.
And then just to introduce, I have Kyle with RSG on the line. So if there are any questions with either the ROPS or the Housing Successor SB 341 report, or with the RSG contract, if there are any questions that I can't answer, Kyle will be able to answer those as well. So I just wanted to introduce Kyle, who's on the screen.
Okay, any questions? Okay, so there was a motion on number 7. Is there a motion on number 7?
I'll make a motion to adopt a resolution of the successor agency to the Avalon Community Improvement Agency approving the recognized obligation payment schedule 22-23 and successor agency administrative budget for fiscal year 22-23.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. If no comments, call for the vote.
Councilmember Lavelle?
Aye.
Councilmember Ponce?
Aye.
Councilmember De La Rosa?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem McGugan Cassidy?
Aye.
Mayor Marshall?
Aye.
That item, all ayes.
And item 8?
Item 8 and item 9 are two items on consent calendar with the City Council acting as the Housing Authority. Item 8 is the Housing Successor Agency Annual Report for fiscal year 2020-2021. The recommended action is to adopt a resolution approving the Housing Authority Successor Agency Annual Report for fiscal year 2020-2021. Item number 9 is 206 East Whitley update to the sewer lateral repair. The recommended action is to authorize city staff to execute an agreement with Jordahl Construction, Inc. for a not-to-exceed sum of $40,000 for repairs to the sewer lateral at 206 East Whitley.
If there's no comments, may we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt a resolution approving the Housing Authority's successor agency annual report for fiscal year 2020-2021. And on item 9, authorize city staff to execute an agreement with Jordahl Construction, Inc. for a not-to-exceed sum of $40,000 for repairs to the sewer lateral at 206 East Whitley.
Okay, any comments? Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. I guess it's Lisa. Call for the vote.
Councilmember Lavelle. Councilmember Ponce.
Aye.
Councilmember De La Rosa.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem McGugan Cassidy.
Aye.
Mayor Marshall.
Aye.
All right. Item number 10 is on consent calendar, and it's the City Council acting as a successor agency to the Avalon Community Improvement Agency and Housing Authority. Item number 10 is the renewal agreement with RSG Inc. for fiscal year 2021-2022, successor agency and Housing Authority consulting services. The recommended action is to authorize the city manager, agency director, to enter into the contract with RSG Inc. to provide successor agency and Housing Authority consulting services for the fiscal year 2021-2022 in the amount not to exceed $35,000.
Perfect. If there's no comment, may I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to, oh gosh, do I actually need to read all those again? Sorry.
Just authorize him to enter into a contract with RSG.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll second.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Call for the vote.
Councilmember Lavelle.
Aye.
Councilmember Ponce.
Aye.
Councilmember De La Rosa.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem McGugan Cassidy.
Aye.
Mayor Marshall.
Aye.
The last item on consent calendar is the City Council acting as the Avalon Municipal Hospital Board of Trustees. This is for the Chief Executive Officer's Board Report and Chief Financial Officer's Narrative Analysis. The recommendation is to receive and file the report.
Is there a recommendation? I'll make a recommendation to receive and file the report. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Call for the vote.
Councilmember Lavelle.
Aye.
Councilmember Ponce.
Aye.
Councilmember De La Rosa.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem McGugan Cassidy.
Aye.
Mayor Marshall.
Aye. And item number 12 is not gonna, and Matt will join us on this one.
Yeah. Item number 12 is the fiscal year 2021-2022 miscellaneous fee schedule workshop. I've got Matt Baker who's coming over to give the report.
Good evening again, Council. Just as background, generally every year around June, we adopt a miscellaneous fee schedule for the what is then the upcoming, now the current fiscal year. Back in June, when we adopted the fee schedule that was presented did not include the annual mooring permit. That was an oversight on my part in reformatting it. It got left off of the version of the document that was noticed and approved. As such, we're going through the process again. The only change from the fee schedule that was previously adopted is the inclusion of this one fee. Generally, this fee goes out to the boaters for payment around the beginning of the year in January. And so we wanted to make sure that we properly noticed and included this fee in the fee schedule.
If it's only the one, though, why did we get the whole packet if we're not going to deal with any of the others?
I think just so we had one kind of authoritative fee schedule document that we could point to. I didn't want there to be the fee schedule adopted in June and then a second a fee schedule kind of floating out there. So just
Okay.
to kind of have one source document, we just updated the existing.
Okay. Well, yeah, thank you. Okay. Item 12? Oh, thank you. I could see. I'm going to open the public hearing and hear public comments about that. Is there anything on your machine there, Michael?
I have no comments at this time.
No comments from the audience? If not, we'll close the public hearing. And let's discuss or just move forward.
Matt? Is there a recommended fee increase on this, or?
So given kind of that the mistake was made on my end, and given that we wanted to notice the public, while the public hearing went out, we did not change the fee from the prior year. And that was really just more of an acknowledgement that it was our issue leaving it off, and so we didn't want to, not that anyone should be surprised, because this is a fee that's been in existence for quite a number of years. I elected not to put the CPI increase from the prior year, just given the circumstances of the fee.
So the recommendation is to keep it as is.
Right.
Well, and because of noticing requirements, we could always go lower, but I don't believe we could go higher. So
Okay.
yes.
All right.
My thought it was going to be to keep it the same and
Yeah.
not do an increase, especially since it's outside of the fee schedule time. So
Right.
I would make a motion to keep the fee the same, but adopt it as part of the overall miscellaneous fee schedule.
And I'll second.
Moving in second. No further comment? Yesenia, you good? Okay. Already call for the vote?
Councilmember Lavelle?
Aye.
Councilmember Ponce?
Aye.
Councilmember De La Rosa?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Magugan Cassidy?
Aye.
Mayor Marshall?
Aye. Item
All
number-
ayes.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Item number 13. David Hart, you're up.
Yeah, item number 13, I've got Dave Hart coming up.
So what we have is, we're looking for a request for proposal for the snack bar concession at Joe Machado Field. The recommended action being to authorize the city manager to issue a request for proposal for a qualified business party to contract with to operate snack bar concession at Joe Machado Field. Because currently, right now, Matthew Allfalder has, if you see as the first exhibit, has turned in a release of notice, a release of contract, and notice of release of contract. He feels like he can no longer successfully run Joe Machado Field, and he wants to try to sell the lease for the concession stand at Joe Machado Field, such as he did with Ivan Leyva when he took over. But there is only February 28th, his lease is up, and so he could do it, but right now there is no offers. He also wants to try to sell it with the stand, with the concession, with the cart, with the vendor cart, but those are two different permits.
Yeah.
They're separate, so that's different. So we're just looking to kind of get out ahead a little bit, because he's asked for the release back on November 23rd, so which means we have 60 days that he would be officially out if we accept the release. Otherwise, we need to wait till the 28th of February. But we still would like to go out to RFP, so when those dates does open, we have somebody in the stand starting to work it. We do have a lot of high school sports that are already being played up there, and we would love to be able to supply them with food and beverage and all that. One thing that might be confusing is the fact that we have two leases up there. We have the Verges, and then we have where you have the storage of the concession cart. We added the storage when Allfather had taken over Verges, that allowed him to use it as a commissary. But now with it being up for whoever may be the best qualified person to run the concession stand, still would not have the permit for the vending. So we would, if the person is the same person, we would offer that to them as a rental. Otherwise, it would just be separate from. So that's why you see the price difference between Verges and Verges with the with the stand.
And I'm sorry, just for clarification, one of the things that in staff's recommendation that David alluded to was it wasn't just the fact that if allowed to terminate and sell the permit, the fact that he would, Matt Offholder, the current leasee, would only have one more month. It's the historical the historical facts, and that the last time that this was going to a transfer or potential sale, there were a number of interested parties, and so staff felt that in order to continue to keep a competitive advantage, it would be recommended to go back out to RFP than to necessarily allow that permit to transfer over. We wanted to ensure that everybody had an equal and fair opportunity to go out, which is what the RFP would allow. It would be a much more competitive process. As a part of that, too, there are a number of special requests that staff's are looking to make as part of the RFP, and those are listed in bullet point form in the staff reports, but some of those requirements that would get put into the scope of work would require continuous year-round operation of the concession stand, require that concession stand to be open for all events, and then we specify what those are. Enter into a 33-month agreement with the lease, which would expire on December 31st, 2025. 33 months sounds a little odd, but this would essentially allow that lease to then follow the same expiration as all of the other RFPs or leasees that we have. And so it's just trying to bring that in, and then would require an internal audit to make sure that everybody, both parties are satisfied, whoever ends up getting that contract, so that we would then exercise or not exercise another extension to that. So I just wanted to make those points a little bit more clear.
So I have a couple questions.
Yes.
I'm concerned about your RFP closing date being the 3rd. Today's the 7th. I'm assuming you're going to put it in the newspaper and put it on Facebook and whatever.
Yes.
But for them to fill it out, I believe, and it's Christmas and New Year's. To me, that date seems unrealistic.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you want to look at that. My other concern is, so let's say I got the concession stand.
Yes.
But I wouldn't qualify as low income to maybe go out and buy a pretzel truck or whatever, okay? But there are people that qualify but need a commissary. So can there be something put in there that if I got it, that I would have to perhaps allow someone in to use the commissary, because that then totally goes away from the reason we did this whole street vending thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, I want that up for conversation.
One of the perceived issues with that is because, like Ivan originally was going to try to do a commissary too, so Matthew had a place that he could do it, but then Ivan had decided he wanted out and offered to sell it to Matthew. But one of the issues is, well, they both can't be in there at the same time. So for it to be the commissary, they would have to work out a time frame that person can be in there. But if somebody is to come in and look to do something where they're going to do a morning, they're going to do morning breakfast out of there, lunch, maybe some dinner takeout. We still want to be able to have whoever takes over Virgie's to have the opportunity to be as successful as possible in there. And if it means that time is taken away to open up for somebody else to have a commissary, I think it should be up to the person who is running that business to maybe like do a sublease, or we can have something in here that talks about subleasing. But if somebody needs that space the entire time to be as successful as possible, we want the person who takes over Virgie's to be as successful as possible.
I understand. So there is something in here about subletting. I didn't read all the fine print.
I believe that.
If there's not, just throw, think you need to throw something in there. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. I'm just concerned about, okay, let me ask you another question, just kind of in general. If I wanted to sell prepackaged stuff, I was on the list, I don't need a commissary, I can just...
You do not need a commissary.
I can keep
but prepackaged does not mean that you cook at home and put it into a package.
No,
it's got to
commercially.
Yes, commercially prepackaged,
okay.
yes.
All right.
Because we have a few people who've tried that.
Okay. All righty. Another question, because something came up today on the street. So the person that has the commissary, they either can or cannot, it's up to them if they want to have a beer and wine concession, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
We allow that. Now, the VFW used to go up there and do a fundraiser and that kind of thing to raise money for the VFW. But from what I understand, that would be up to me, if I had it, to say, yeah, VFW, you can have that day when the old timers come and play rugby, correct? They could work that out?
Yes, and they've done that also with like private parties that rent out the courtyard. We tell private parties that they need to speak to the concessionaire because they have first rights to be the person to sell the concessions there.
Okay.
But they can go and ask that person can say yes or no whether they can bring their own food. So,
Okay.
but we give that first rights to them to give them an opportunity to be as successful as possible.
Okay. And nothing, because this is also stated to me, so I'm going to check with you. If the VFW, though, wanted to have a beer garden for some special event, this agreement does not keep them from being able to do that.
It does not. Like, I believe with Ivan used to take, he used to do the beer and wine for the Old Man Rugby group because he had the right to do that. So he did it, so VFW backed out. But I believe VFW, when Matthew did come back in, when Matthew took over, he allowed VFW to do that as a fundraiser.
Okay, and having the beer and wine up there, again, doesn't impact the VFW, you getting a permit for the day to sell beer and wine, let's say 4th of July or something, downtown, right? This has no impact on that at all?
Yeah, that's...
Good, I wanted to clarify
that.
for, okay, good question. Okay.
Wait, Mayor,
Question?
I have a question or two here. So I guess I want to go back to the cart part of it, not necessarily the concession stand, but the cart. It was my understanding that we said the person who got the permit is the one who actually has to run the cart and do the business. Is that a true statement?
Originally, that was the idea, and then many of the owners who were going to be doing the carts were saying because they are trying to do multiple things and they can't be at all of them, we allowed them to have employees.
Okay.
So, but originally the idea was the person who had the cart was going to would run their cart. But but then we backed down and we said that they're allowed to have employees.
Okay. And then I'm assuming then that the cart permit transfer thing is going to come back for a whole nother discussion, correct? So really all we're talking about right now is the snack bar?
Yeah, that's just the snack bar. Like currently right now, he's also asking to be, he no longer wants the permit for the cart. He no longer wants to continue to run the cart. So we've actually already moved forward and given it to the next person in line. So the cart already has somebody in line to run it. So he has the right to, I mean, if he wanted to, he can purchase Matthew's cart if he'd like. But I know the person who's next in line is going to be doing prepackaged, so he will not be purchasing that. So,
Okay.
so he'll have to figure out what to do with the cart.
I have a whole other list of issues about the cart situation.
Yeah.
So if all we're talking about tonight is
Is
the
Virgins.
cart concession, I just want to make sure of that.
Yes.
Yeah, great. Okay, and there's somebody standing behind David. Oh, it's Yoli, I'm sorry. I couldn't tell.
Hi, Yoli Say. I think I just cleared it up. I was wondering about the cart because I was around during that whole process and I knew that they had to be vetted and there was certain guidelines that they had to be qualified for the cart. So he just answered it by saying that it's going in line and he's not selling out outside that. Okay. Thanks. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Yesenia, Lisa, Michael?
One of the questions I was going to ask, so are you looking to maybe, we were trying to put as fast a timeline on this as possible so we can get somebody in as soon as possible. But if you think that the RFP closing date, January 3rd, is too early, we can revisit that.
How are we going to post this, and are we posting it in English and Spanish?
We can do that.
I think that's probably necessary.
Yes.
And what we can do is we can look for the council awards the contract date for the first meeting of February, and then back in the rest of the dates from there. So that would allow for an additional couple weeks in order for people to respond to that.
I just know we're all so busy as a team here, you
Very
know,
much so.
and that's a lot of work. So you have sports going. Sports are
Currently, right now, the high school sports are a full go. Recreation, we're not up and running yet due to all the testing that we would have to be required to do for each of the individual kids. So currently, right now, under LA County, they just believe it's in their best interest not to do all that testing. So we're not running sports right now for recreation, but we are. But the high school is full bore with girls and boys soccer practices going up at JMF right now.
there's a little break right now, though. Are they playing right now?
It's going on right now, and that sport will continue through until we hit softball in March, and then softball will be going into the summer, and then we have we do have adult softball is the one sport that you can play because there's not as much contact. So the adult league will be starting back up in February.
Okay.
And I know it's popular, and that's a group. If there's not things up there, they're going to bring their own things up there.
Right.
I want to make sure, we can
I don't
supply
want to
that
leave
for
the kids in the lurch and the parents, but I just a little concerned about the timeline. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Mayor, we have not had a whole lot of success with the snack bar the last couple of years, and there really hasn't been a lot of interest in it. I want to recommend maybe a balance between what Assistant City Manager Palmer was asking and what we're asking in the staff report. Can we make changes to the lease agreement and can we make the determination, if we made the determination to just go ahead and transfer a lease to Mr. Rojo, could we update that lease agreement with the recommendations and the concerns that the city staff has?
Well, I'm curious why you're mentioning a particular person when it hasn't gone out. I'm a little confused.
Oh, I think because it's in the yeah.
Okay. I understand that, but I don't think we should be talking about an individual
Mr.
person.
Alfolder is asking to transfer the lease to Frank Rojo.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
If he was to purchase it from him. Yes.
Yeah, and Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, but if council wanted to propose a different action other than what staff is recommending, they can do that with the, so if council did not want to proceed forward with issuing out an RFP and instead wanted to permit the sale of transfer, but upon the condition of amending the lease to fulfill conditions, they can do that at this council meeting, or do we need to bring that back?
They could give direction, but you'd have to bring the lease back to this council for approval at another date, the actual revised lease.
And there is time if you wanted to do that, because we can bring that back. We just have the 60-day notice, but that termination does not take effect until 60 days, so.
Will you bring it back on the 15th when we have this other meeting, or is that too soon?
If you wish to not proceed forward with the staff recommended RFP, we could bring that back at a council date, either in the first or second meeting in January.
I'm just trying to save us a couple months of work. It's not, it has not been a concession that has received like even 3 proposals in the past. And
Right.
I'd rather not have a break in the timeline. And I know Mr. Affolter well enough to know that he will hang in there until all of the transfer has happened and make sure that we don't have a disruption in service. And I think that's really important that we take that into consideration. If we go out for an RFP, we've got like 3, if not 4 council meetings that stuff's gonna have to come back to us on this.
Right.
So I'm just recommending that we move forward with it and mitigate the concerns of the city staff.
And my only concern in that process was the cart. So we're taking that out. There's somebody else who's in line who's willing to take it. And I'd have no problem with going ahead and changing the lease over to Mr. Rojo. So I would be in agreement with Cindy, so if we could.
So, well, and we all seem to know that Mr. Rojo also wants the cart.
But he's not entitled to the cart.
Well, he is next.
The card is a separate transaction. The card is completely
Well, I
separate
know.
from what we're talking about here.
Well, I know, but that is my concern going forward.
But also the transfer of the lease is, we would have to find out if Frank is willing to actually purchase that from Matthew before. So we don't know if he's, I know it's been offered to Mr. Rojo.
Yeah.
He has not accepted the agreement. He has not accepted the agreement that for that yet, that he would pay for the remaining part of that lease.
Well, okay, I guess my concern is, since we're talking about names, is we qualified them as eligible for the cart a long time ago. Okay, and have things changed when all of a sudden now I can have a lease up there, pay for the lease, and potentially buy a cart. We don't seem to be concerned with that. I mean, we're not re-eligibilizing everybody after a certain period of time, because has been on the list for 2 years, as have the other people on the list.
I think it's fully separate.
Yeah, it's a totally separate thing. We're just.
It's totally separate. So
I understand it's totally separate. I understand it's totally separate. But but then, at some point, let's say I get the cart. I mean, I get the JMF, and then all of a sudden, and my full intent is to get the cart. Once it's sold, what is our interaction with that? Do we re-eligibilize people? Because that's the vending thing, to put it out on the street. So how do we handle that going forward? Whether it be him or anybody else that gets that?
Are you talking about on the process for the cart?
That would be for another.
you're talking about the commissary portion of the building.
Because they need the commissary, yes.
Right.
It would only make sense because, again, if you're saying somebody gets this, somebody gets Joe Machado and doesn't want to play fair with somebody to allow them to use the space as a commissary, this whole vending thing the whole food vending thing is out the door. I mean, for prepared food. And I guess I have a little, just a concern. Just a concern. I agree with what you two are saying. I don't have a problem with what you two are saying, but, and Cindy, I know, it's been a heck of a time to get people to stay there. I mean, from when Margie had it and whatever. The only time it was really profitable is when Trainer had it, Kenny Trainer had it, you know.
So the barbecue on the side and.
Yeah, so, go ahead. Yeah.
I just have a question. Okay, so, because I'm not familiar with how the city or the municipal code reads when a tenant sells another, their business to another person. Does the city get involved? I'm not here on this, I'm just asking questions. I didn't come for this specific item, but I just came to start being aware. But anyhow, so when, say, he's found a buyer for his concession stand, does the city go in then and look at the price and the amount and has any kind of say to that price of the sale, just to take in consideration that if someone pays a high dollar for a business that maybe isn't in fact worth that said dollar, you need to consider, is that person going to be able to keep up on the rent as well if they have a huge nut on the sale? Does that make sense?
Well, yeah.
There's stipulations, I'll let Scott talk, but there's stipulations in the price that he can sell the business, and there's a cap, it's I believe 8% of gross receipts, or a cap of a maximum of $30,000. We don't have the ability to regulate the prices that he sets when he's operating the business, but there are some contractual obligations as part of his agreement on how he can proceed forward with sale.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
he has
just
to
asking because then you get someone in there. I'm not even saying him, I'm just saying in general. And then, you know, if someone pays over the market value or whatever and then can't pay rent, then you're going to have another problem. So I just didn't know the process or what was in the municipal code, but you just explained it. So thank you.
And Scott, were you going to say something?
Just having that space as a rental, like we rent out the park.
Can't hear you at all, Yesenia.
Can do it.
Her question was, could we consider just doing a rental of the space on a, you know, on an as event or as wanted?
It seems like the lease it's not working out. No one's sticking to this property. So why don't we find a different solution? Because it's not working out.
Please repeat that, Scott, because we can't hear.
So what Yesenia was saying is that it does not appear that entering into a lease with one vendor is working right now. Could we consider just opening it up for space like we do, for instance, City Hall, where people can rent it for a day or so to have a meeting? Maybe you have it available, and then it goes for, during football season, someone rents it for just a football game. Something like that, rather than a long-term exclusive lease.
I personally can see problems with that. So I rent it for a birthday party or whatever, and I do it and I cook all the food, and then I've got to clean it up, and then city crew's got to make sure that it's cleaned up because somebody else is coming in the next day. It might be logistically a little difficult, not impossible, but that's just my initial reaction.
I mean, it's better than having to keep coming back every time to go over these leases.
I understand that too.
Also, I think if we were to rent it out, I think it's an interesting idea. But then it's on the under the lease. Whoever is the leasee is the one who's responsible for the upkeep of the equipment and all that, and getting the gas, getting all that. So now this would be something that the city would then be running and maintaining for somebody else to rent out.
And there's also the health department issue, because the health permit is issued under one name, and I don't know that I would want to take responsibility for everybody else that came in and prepared food at events and things like that. So there's that liability, I believe.
There's one thing where you're renting Tremont Hall out and somebody's cooking food for family, but when you're cooking food for the public, there's the person who's running the stand that night is going to have so many permits and health code permits for that. So.
And realistically, how long is it going to take to, let's say we did this immediately, how long is it going to take to transfer the permits with the county? That's not going to happen overnight, I wouldn't imagine. I mean, we see how slow they do.
Likely not, and I think we would need to do a little bit more investigation in terms of what would actually be required in order to hand that kind of operation over.
Yeah.
I guess I just wanted to get some clarification on what council's direction is to staff and how you'd like to proceed.
I understand. Well,
Sorry, Cindy. How does it work when we have the kermeses at the park? Like with the health codes and all that, how do we do it then?
Can't hear you. Please repeat it, somebody.
How do we do it with the park system now? Like say you go to Bird Park and have an event or do a fundraiser, how does that work with the health department for an event like that?
How does it work, or how should it work?
Yeah.
I guess is the bigger question. How should it work is that person obtains a special event permit if the food, if it's operating on city premise and its food is being prepared and sold, they need to coordinate. They need to get a special event permit. Two, they need to go reach out to LA County Department of Public Health. They need to get a county health to issue a permit. They usually send over an inspector. They make sure that we've got proper sink control set up. Whether that happens or not, for every event that happens at our parks, I couldn't tell you that right now. My assumption would be likely we are not following all of those regulations
Right.
consistently.
Yes, yes. And I don't think we want to kill that either. I think that works well.
I wanted to say that I really liked Councilmember De La Rosa's idea of, looking at the potential of making it available for events and things, but honestly, I really just don't want to see a lapse in business up there, and so I would like to make my prior comment an actual motion, and motion to approve the transfer of the lease, and to begin the conversation with the staff's changes that I know are gonna come back to us. So I don't know if we need a motion for that, or if we just give direction to do that and then bring the
Yeah, I
lease
think we
agreement
just need to
back
give,
to us.
Cindy, I think we just need to give direction to bring that back that way, and I would be all in favor of
Yeah,
that.
then that's what I would recommend, but, that would have just been my motion, is to move forward with the staff report and make the necessary changes.
Sherry.
So, in response to Councilwoman De La Rosa's comment was, I don't know if you can look online. You can look online on the mainland in different cities. Different cities have different health codes and stuff, and they're doing that all over. I can let you know what it's called, kitchen something, and people come to these locations, they pay a fee, they cook their meals, and they bottle commissary, right? And they bottle, like, say, their salsa or
Right.
their juices or whatever, and they just put in slot times.
Yes.
And so it seems to be working, but they're only able to do it in, like, sell in that city for that code in Orange County and Long Beach. And, but it could work, and it might start making people be more legit, giving them options instead of like cooking at home or,
I guess the question that I had more was not necessarily in the preparation. I know there's a lot of common kitchen areas out there, but I don't know if they actively sell within the same establishment. And there's different rules between preparing and distributing for sale, where that food is being. And I would just need to do some additional research. Not that it can't happen, but that staff, if that's the direction that council wants to provide, that we would need to do our due diligence to find out how exactly to make that work. Not that it can't.
Yeah, they're all over now, so you can look
Well,
it up.
and these are big places, and that was my comment early
like
on.
almost- I
If
think-
you have a contract with someone and they say they don't want to sublet a little space or whatever, then it won't happen. So unless we kind of ask them to try to accommodate.
That's also why we did the rental for the space to put the cart
Right.
in there, because you have to store your cart in a health, the health codes.
Right.
You have to, be within the health codes in the cart, and the cart must be stored at the same place the commissary is.
Right.
So currently, like, if we did do thing where we did slot it, we only have space for one cart.
Yeah.
In there, so it would be something for one cart.
Right, okay.
Even as a commissary.
Okay.
So, but that would also, if we make it where it's somebody's buying it as a business, it would be up to that person whether or not they would want to purchase a bit. We just got to come forward with them
Right.
saying, if you're going to purchase this as a business, this is a slot you have to keep open as a commissary.
I
You'll get
understand.
compensated in a certain way for doing that.
Yeah.
I think it would be the only real fair way of doing that, because they're taking the risk of actually trying to run a business.
And they're washing the cart down out there, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The only question I have, and I would generally be in support of what both council members have suggested so far, is if there's any concern with automatically moving a lease over to a city employee without going out for RFP.
City attorney?
So the person that wants to get the lease is a city employee?
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, he may want to wait it out. He might, he hasn't said yes to actually taking the lease. So.
I can't answer that question off the cuff.
You can't answer that question.
Okay.
No, but
I
he's.
have to look at that.
Yeah.
Because I think if he were to get it through an RFP process, there would be no question. It's on the up and up. Everyone's had the opportunity. I would have some hesitation that, and again, nothing.
Right.
I think the person wanting to apply could do a great job at this and would do a great job at this. But that's my only hesitation in saying yes right away, is that is kind of a wrench in that whole thing.
And what the perception is.
Correct.
Yeah.
Would we have to maybe contact Mr. Affolter and see if there is somebody who actually has looking and willing to purchase this lease, and
It would be
then
nice to
contact
have
them before we make a decision?
I'm kind of disappointed that he's not here, so that he can answer these questions.
Well, and perhaps, I mean, we all know that Frank is very interested. He's he's spoken to a lot of people about this. So,
And Mr. Affolter has stopped completely running the business up at Virgins. as of
yeah,
right now.
exactly. So,
But that's a breach of contract, isn't it?
When he asked for his release, he decided that he no longer wishes to work up there. So
He can terminate the lease within 30 days' notice.
yes.
The lease is still active.
60 days
Right.
notice.
Scott, my understanding is the lease is still active. All he has done, and as part of the council agenda packet, is submitted a formal written request to move forward with a transfer, and he specifically named who he would like to allow to purchase the remaining lease for the snack concession. But the lease itself is not terminated. He has an obligation to submit written notice of his intention to terminate that within, I think within 60 days.
He's still paying rent, right? Because he has a minimum rent due.
is he still paying rent?
I would have to check with the I'd have to check with the finance department. My predecessor was in charge of that, and I just took over this week. So.
So Cindy and Michael, along with what your thoughts are. So let's say we come back on in 2 weeks or whatever, and think we're going to transfer it. But what if a bunch of people in town go, wait a minute, this isn't right? You know, we're just now hearing about this. Then what do we do? And again, I don't know if anybody's out there.
I am fine with doing it with Cindy's suggestion, and I'm fine with putting it out for RFP. Because you're making it more difficult than it actually is. Let's just put it out to RFP and see if there's anybody out there willing to take it.
Well, and then
But
your
and
comment.
without having to worry about the commissary, you know.
Yeah.
My thing is, if no service is going to be happening out there, then people that are using our facilities are not going to have food or beverage.
Oh, I know.
So
Yes, sir.
let's see what we can do, get it out there, and if Mr. Rojo decides he wants to put it in too, then let's do it. But I think you're making it too complicated by worrying about
the cart.
Because the cart is not part of this, of what we're trying to do.
Right. No, but I understand, but even
And I,
just.
and I understand where you're coming from on that, but that's not.
I understand.
Yeah. So I would make a motion to go ahead and
Oh,
approve.
did Cindy already have one? Cindy, did you already have a motion?
She did. It was to approve the transfer of the lease and to give staff direction for moving or exploring terminating.
Okay, so if there's a motion on the floor, is there a second? If there's not, it will die. Okay, looks like there's not a second, it will die. So you want to make your,
I'll make a motion to go ahead and send out the RFP.
I'll second.
moved in second. Comments? Anybody, or do you have any comments on your machine there, Michael?
I have no comment at this time.
Okay, let's call for the vote.
Councilmember Lavelle?
Aye.
Councilmember Ponce?
Aye.
Councilmember De La Rosa?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem McGugan Cassidy?
Aye.
Mayor Marshall?
Aye.
It's all ayes.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. Okay, item number 14.
I've got Matt coming out for that.
I like this kind of item.
Oh, yeah.
Good evening, Council. I wanted to provide some background on the Prop A commuter subsidy program before I go into the specifics of the staff report. Just more of a chance to educate the public on how the commuter subsidy funds come to the city that allow us to reduce those commuter books. So as background, Prop A is included as part of the county, or as part of the 10% sales tax. It was a voter-approved measure that provided additional funds to LA County Metro. The city, as part of the normal sales tax, receives about $70,000 allocated from Metro for the Prop A monies. In addition to those Prop A monies, there's something called the Prop A incentive funds. And so these are additional monies that Metro sets aside to provide funding for transit-related causes outside of the normal allocation that the city or transit agency would receive. So every year, the City of Avalon applies for these incentive funds, one, to offset some of the operating costs of our land transit program, so that's Dial-A-Ride and the fixed route buses, and also to fund our commuter subsidy program. So every year, the city requests from Metro these additional funds. Usually this process goes on during September, October, so when we adopt the budget with the commuter subsidy funds in there, we're a bit going off of a hope and a promise, because every year we have to go to Metro requesting these special funds, and they have the ability to approve or deny or to change the amount. Over the last several years, the city's received $700,000 for the commuter subsidy program. So that allows the city to subsidize each ticket book by $70. So the Express, when they sell a commuter book at $265, I believe there is a discount in that price. The city is able to then further discount it by another $70 using this Prop A incentive money. So the resident pays $195 for what otherwise would be a $265 commuter book. Prior to COVID, the city would subsidize about 9,600 commuter ticket books a year, so just shy of 700,000 a year. We had been receiving about 650, and it took a couple years of us spending more than 650 for us to convince Metro to increase that allocation to 700. Because again, every year Metro has the ability to increase or decrease how much it wants to fund the program. What we've noticed, and what I tried to show in the staff report, is that in response to COVID, there has been a considerable decrease in commuter activity by residents. While I don't think this necessarily is going to be a long-term change in commuter behavior, it does present some challenges and opportunities from a finance standpoint managing the commuter subsidy funds. So like I said, every year we have to go to Metro to express a need for the funds. And if we don't spend the full amount, Metro has been great in the past and historically has worked with us to allow the movement of funds from one year to the next, but nothing is guaranteed, or at least as far as I know, it's a case-by-case decision-making basis. So if we were to continue to operate the year with the $70 discount, we likely would not spend the full $700,000 that we've already been allocated for this year. There was a planned rate increase affecting the commuter ticket books by the Express, increasing what would have increased the cost to residents by an additional $15 a commuter book. But because resident activity has been down about 20%, and this goes if you look back from March of this year through September, we should have the ability to increase the subsidy amount to temporarily at least offset that rate increase, to allow residents more time to essentially adjust to the new rate. I do want to stress that the $15 increase, so instead of subsidizing a ticket book by $70, we would be subsidizing a ticket book by $85. The resident would still be paying the same $195 amount, so they might not immediately notice, but I do want it known out there that the reason the rate increase isn't going in effect right away is because the city has the ability to increase its subsidy at least temporarily. And so what we're proposing, at least in the first half of the staff report, would be to temporarily increase the subsidy amount from $70 to $85 through the end of the fiscal year. That would give residents an additional 6 months to adapt to the rate increase for the planned rate increase for the ticket book. And so what I tried to show in the staff report is that even if activity were to rebound to pre-COVID levels beginning in January, we still should be within that 700,000 or very close to that 700,000 amount for the commuter ticket book subsidy.
Okay.
The second piece of the staff report, and probably the one that's more exciting and will get more attention, is through the Prop A incentive program, Metro was able to, and Audra could speak to this better than I could, but Metro essentially was able to further fund the Prop A incentive program through coronavirus-related federal funds. So Metro has allocated an additional 300, I apologize, I don't have it in front of me, but around 360,000 in additional funds that can either be used by the city for its land transit program or for its commuter subsidy program. So internally, city staff discussed how best to use these one-time funds, and what was ultimately decided upon was creating a one-time additional subsidy for the commuter subsidy program. The rationale, we can't use these funds for capital improvements, and they only can be used for maintenance and operating of either the commuter subsidy program, which that program doesn't have a lot of maintenance operating expenses, or for the land transit program, which similarly doesn't have $350,000 worth of eligible maintenance and operating expenses, because staff time and certain things aren't eligible for that. And so, given what our options were, confined within the Prop A incentive fund MOU that we have with Metro, and given that it's a one-time infusion of funds, we thought it made the most sense to have a one-time additional subsidy or incentive. Some of the things that we also discussed was increasing the subsidy amount and spreading it out, but the rationale of doing a one-time is we felt it would benefit all residents equally. Some residents travel more than others, and so if we were to say increase the subsidy by $20 a book, residents that buy 5 books would benefit $100. Residents who only buy 1 book would benefit $20. And so doing a one-time subsidy, the rationale was that all residents would benefit equally under these additional funds. Given the challenges of coronavirus, inflation as a result, we thought that this would be a nice incentive to residents to help with the cost of living on the island. So what we are proposing with those funds is for the month of January, having an additional $100 discount on the commuter ticket book. So instead of the $195, it would be $95 for the cost of a commuter ticket book. The control would be, like everyone knows, with the current process, once you have it punched, you would be ineligible to buy a second book. Some of the things we did discuss was why limit it to 1 month? Administratively, we felt it would be difficult if we, say, gave 6 months to use it, because then we'd have to track which month the resident used the additional subsidy. We did discuss our plans with the Catalina Express, and we were in agreement that the 1 month, 1 time was the easiest to manage process-wise, and it gave the least opportunity for abuse within the program. And so what we're proposing to use those additional funds with would be for that additional $100 subsidy for the month of January 2022. I guess that concludes my presentation, and if there are any questions.
So, like, my husband and I both have a commuter card. So, is it $200?
Yes, so
$100 per person.
Wow. So if I have a commuter book card with 4 children on it, what do they get?
Each child, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but each child would have their own card. And so you would be...
Do they really? Is that how they are? I thought, like, the children were all on one card.
You're asking the 2 staff members here with no children.
Okay. Right.
So my understanding is that, so speaking for myself, even though I have 2 names on my card, I have 1 card issued to me and 1 card issued to my spouse. If I were to go buy a commuter ticket book, I could buy 1 ticket book and my spouse or I could travel on that 1 ticket book.
Right.
Similarly, my spouse has a card, and so she could get the $100 discount as well. While if hypothetically we had a child, yes, we could use the child on that ticket book, but that child could also get their own commuter subsidy card and would be eligible for $100 if that child was in the program.
Yeah, I just didn't know how multiple children were listed. I thought they were...
And my guess is that maybe not every child has a card issued, but if my understanding is if they are listed even on their parents' card, they were counted in our count of people within the program. So we did have, and I don't have the exact number, but a little over 4,000 residents enrolled in the commuter subsidy program. And so that number would include children.
How can that happen when we only have 3,600 people based on the census?
Well, maybe the census should should offer commuter subsidy, and then we could get some more people counted there.
And what about the people that buy the 2 round trips only? They don't get the full one?
So they would be still eligible for a discount. They wouldn't be eligible for the $100, but what we were proposing would be for them. So I believe they can buy 4 books, so it would be the $25 it would be the per ticket equivalent of what the $100 discount is for the commuter book. But in doing this analysis, I can say we have sold a total of 8 tickets using that program. So, the vast majority of residents have still stuck with the original process.
Well, that's okay, it answers the question. Well, does anybody want to disapprove this?
Heck no.
Okay, is there comments? Do you have any comments there, Michael, and then council?
Oh, hold on, I'm sorry, I think Cindy was trying to say something first.
I'm just saying I am so in favor of this. I would absolutely make a motion to approve both of those items.
Yeah.
My comment is Merry Christmas, Avalon.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a motion, and is that a second when
I'll
you say
second.
Merry Christmas? Okay, any other comments? Let's call for the vote.
And just for the record, there are no comments that have come through either. So with that, Councilmember Lavelle?
Absolutely, yes.
Councilmember Ponce?
Absolutely, yes.
Councilmember De La Rosa?
Absolutely, yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Maguga Cassidy?
Absolutely, yes.
And Mayor Marshall?
Yes. Well, I hope people stuck around to hear the good news. Well, thank you, everyone. And again, Merry Christmas, but we hope to see you here on the 15th at 5 o'clock for the active transportation plan. All right. Good night, Tony. Meeting adjourned.